You've seen it happen. Maybe at work, maybe in politics, maybe in history books somewhere along the line. You realize that the people who play fair don't always win. Meanwhile, the liars, the manipulators, the ones who step on others, they climb higher and faster than everyone else. It's frustrating. It makes you question everything you were taught about morality, justice, and success. Because deep down, you want to believe the world is fair. That if you work hard, stay honest, and treat people right, good things will come your way. But the world doesn't work that way. And it's not just a few bad apples, it's a pattern. It's a system that repeats itself across history, across industries, across entire civilizations. So, why does this happen? Why does power seem to favor the ruthless? And more importantly, is there a way to succeed in this system without becoming one of them? To answer that, we need to strip away our illusions and understand power for what it truly is. Let's start with the most basic truth. Life is competition. It doesn't matter if we're talking about nature, business, or social dynamics, power is scarce, and not everyone can have it. And in any competition, hesitation is a weakness. Most people hesitate. They second-guess themselves. They wonder if they're making the right choice. They want approval before they act. Ruthless people don't do that. They move fast, they take risks, and they're willing to make decisions that most people shy away from. Psychologists have studied this dynamic for decades. The traits that help people succeed in competitive environments tend to be high ambition, they expect to win. Low sensitivity to fear, they act without hesitation. A reduced sense of empathy toward obstacles, they don't let emotions get in the way of their goals. And this gives them an advantage, because while everyone else is waiting for permission, they're already taking action. But this isn't new. Nietzsche understood this long before modern psychology did. He saw power as an undeniable force in human nature, one that couldn't be ignored, only understood. And to understand why the worst people succeed, we have to look at one of his most controversial ideas, master morality versus slave morality. We like to think morality is universal, that there's a clear distinction between right and wrong, good and bad. But Nietzsche rejected that idea completely. He argued that morality wasn't a fixed truth, it was a product of power struggles. According to him, throughout history, two competing moral systems have shaped human society. Number one, master morality, the morality of the strong, the rulers, the conquerors. It values strength, courage, ambition, and self-determination. Masters don't wait for approval, they create their own values. Number two, slave morality, the morality of the powerless, the ones who can't impose their will directly. Instead of celebrating strength, it glorifies obedience, humility, and self-sacrifice. It teaches that suffering is noble, and that power itself is evil. Slave morality, Nietzsche argued, wasn't about truth, it was about survival. It was a system designed by the weak to justify their inability to compete. And here's the paradox. Slave morality doesn't stop the ruthless, it enables them. Because while the good-hearted hesitate, believing they shouldn't seek power, that ambition is dangerous. The ruthless take control. And in a world where hesitation equals failure, the results are inevitable. But this isn't just about history, it's happening right now, in real time. We're taught from childhood that the world is fair. Work hard and you'll be rewarded. Be honest and people will treat you well. Do the right thing and good things will come your way. But reality tells a different story. The hardest workers aren't always the richest. The most honest people don't always get ahead. The kindest people are often the most exploited. This isn't an accident, it's the system itself. Psychologists call this the just world fallacy, the tendency to believe that life is inherently fair, that people get what they deserve. This belief is dangerous because it encourages passivity. It convinces people to sit back and wait for justice instead of taking action. Meanwhile, the ruthless understand that fairness is a myth. They don't wait, they take. But here's the important question. Does that mean you have to be ruthless to succeed? Not necessarily. There's another way. A lot of people think they only have two choices. Be ruthless. Take what you want. Play dirty. Win at any cost. Be a victim. Stay moral. Play fair. And hope the system rewards you. But there's a third path, one that doesn't require you to abandon your integrity, but also doesn't leave you powerless. Nietzsche called this the Übermensch. The Übermensch doesn't blindly follow moral rules. They create their own values. They recognize power for what it is, a tool, not an enemy, and they use it to shape the world on their own terms. So, how do you embody this mindset? Stop expecting fairness. Life isn't fair. The people who succeed don't waste time complaining about injustice. They adapt. They learn the game and play it better. Strategic empathy. Understand people's motives. Read them deeply. Anticipate their moves. But don't let emotions make decisions for you. Control over fear. Most people are trapped by fear. Fear of failure, rejection, standing alone. The Übermensch moves forward despite fear. Controlled ruthlessness. Sometimes power requires hard choices, cutting off toxic people, making unpopular decisions, standing firm when others want you to fold. This isn't cruelty, it's strength. Build, don't just take. The ruthless rise quickly, but they fall hard because they build nothing. Power without purpose is self-destructive. True power comes from creation, not destruction. At this point, you understand the game. You know why ruthless people succeed, why fairness is an illusion, and how power dynamics shape morality itself. But knowing isn't enough, you need to know how to apply this knowledge in real life. Here are 4 additional principles that separate those who get trampled from those who rise without losing themselves. Number 1. Learn the language of power. Power isn't just about brute force, it's about understanding how people think. The strongest competitors aren't just the most ambitious or the most ruthless, they're the ones who know how to communicate power. Every powerful figure throughout history, from emperors to CEOs, has mastered this. They understand confidence is currency. People assume the most certain person in the room is the most competent. Doubt is a weakness. Silence is a weapon. The most powerful people don't always talk the most. They make others fill the silence, exposing their weaknesses. Control the frame. Power isn't about reacting, it's about defining the terms of the conversation. Those who set the narrative win. Most people focus on what they say. Powerful people focus on how it's perceived. That's the difference. Number 2, play the long game. Ruthless people rise quickly, but they also collapse just as fast. Why? Because manipulation and deception only get you so far. History is filled with leaders who built their power on lies, fear, and exploitation. And almost all of them ended the same way, destroyed by the very forces they created. The ruthless create enemies faster than they create allies. They might win in the short term, but long-term power is built on trust, respect, and real influence. The strongest leaders don't just take, they build. Whether it's a business, an idea, a movement, or a network of loyal allies, real power lasts when it creates something sustainable. The biggest mistake most people make is playing for today, instead of playing for 10 years from now. Number 3, control your reputation. It's more powerful than you think. Reputation is power. And in a world where information spreads faster than ever, your reputation can make or break your ability to succeed. Powerful people understand that perception is reality. It doesn't matter what's true, what matters is what people believe is true. A ruthless person with a bad reputation will always be seen as a villain, no matter how successful they are. A powerful person with a controlled reputation can make moves others can't because they're trusted, respected, or feared just enough. The key is owning your narrative. If you don't, someone else will. Number 4, become indispensable. Power isn't just about taking control, it's about making sure no one can replace you. If you can be replaced, then you're disposable. And if you're disposable, you're powerless. The most successful people do one of 2 things. They build something so valuable that others depend on them. They develop a skill so rare that they can't be ignored. If you can be replaced, you're at the mercy of those above you. But if you make yourself essential, you gain leverage. And in a world that rewards power, leverage is everything. Power has always been linked to corruption. People assume that those who seek it must be bad people. But Nietzsche didn't see power as evil. He saw it as misunderstood. Power itself is neutral. It's not about dominating others. It's about controlling yourself. About breaking free from fear, from hesitation, from the illusions that keep you weak. Yes, ruthless people often succeed, but they also burn out just as fast. The ones who truly last aren't the ones who manipulate their way to the top. They're the ones who understand power, master it, and use it to build something bigger than themselves. So the real question isn't, why do bad people succeed? The real question is, are you going to let them keep winning? If this made you think differently about success and power, then stick around because there's a lot more to uncover. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown. Drop a like if this gave you something valuable, and let me know in the comments, do you think power is inherently evil or just misunderstood? Because this conversation isn't over, it's just getting started. Thanks for watching.